Hi, my name is John White, and wanted to let you know that I'm part of a community of church planters called Luke 10.
We always do this thing in Luke 10 where we educe each other. We draw out each other's gifts and stories and experiences. But I think a lot of times we have missed hearing the original story and experiences of the founders of Luke 10.
I was on staff of a mega church in Denver. At 4,000 people every weekend, 3 or 4 different services. I found this verse that I'd never seen before. 1 Corinthians 14:26. This is where Paul says, when you come together, brothers, everyone has a word of instruction, a hymn, a revelation, a tongue, an interpretation, that all of these things be done for the edification of the church. The word that just grabbed me was the word everyone. We couldn't do that in the church where I was pastor. We had 900 people in every worship service. There's no way you could do that. And I realized this verse, more than any other verse, talks about what happened in church when you met together. I'd never heard anybody teach about this, preach about this. This was just revolutionary.
So John was so captured by the idea that every voice matters in the church. Everybody should participate. Everybody can contribute to a gathering. So he ventured out and did this church experiment where they would gather and they would set up a microphone and participate, like 1 Corinthians 14. After some time, they met another group that was closing, and they wanted to merge the churches. And at the time, they thought it was a good idea.
When we merged the churches, the agreement was that we would spend half an hour on Sunday mornings with an open mic when anybody could share, participatory church. And we did that for a couple of years. And over the course of a couple of years, they began to decide that we don't want to do that. We want to be just vertical. Everything's praise and worship and prayer. That open church, participatory church was a waste of time. And I kind of dug my heels in and I said, no, this is what I think God called us to. So we decided to ask some of the other pastors. We asked 3 of them, would they come and mediate this conversation? And so they met with us maybe 3 times. And the last time they met with us, they knew that we weren't getting any place. They said, independent of each other, we believe the Lord has spoken to us. And we have a message for you guys. And that is that if anyone causes a church split, God will remove you from ministry. That was like on a Thursday. On Sunday morning, in church, it was announced that I was being fired from the church. I knew it was tense, but I didn't know they were going to fire me. I'm sitting in the back row with Tammy. Margie and Joel are there. And that's announced from a front that John's, because of insubordination, he won't play ball. So we're going to fire him. Our church had $100,000 in the bank, and they took over the whole church. They took over the money, they took over the building. So they could do that legally. So this is 1998. So from there, we ended up starting house church. That's what else are we going to do?
I've had the privilege with Dawn Ministries to travel around the country a good bit. And what we've seen are these either individual or networks of house churches beginning to spring up sovereignly, independent of one another. We often would find these people and they would say things like, we didn't know anybody else was doing this. We were shocked to find that this is happening all over the country.
So at this time, there's a background character in John's story, a little nonprofit that he started called Fellowship of Home Churches. And at that point, it was just an umbrella organization to assist with doing house church experiments. And so he jumped into Dawn, this church planting organization. And while he was being totally captured by the vision of Dawn, which was to see a church within easy access of every person on the planet, while he was working with Dawn, he met this professor and a guy that was experimenting with intentional community named Kent Smith.
When I was first teaching here at ACU, I was really trying to help students in the seminary kind of reimagine what would life in the family of God, in the Church of God, look like that would actually be good news in our time. And you know some of John's journey and sojourn. He and I were kind of coming to the same place in a lot of ways in the early 2000s about what it was going to take for us to really be a family of God that was good news in our time, and also what it would take to form the leaders.
While John and Kent were growing this connection and really resonating with these shared values of a way of being the people of God, a way of being church that was deeply relational. That's when they found out in 2007 that Dawn was going to be closing.
It's like December of 07. Dawn's coming to an end in 07. And we decide, our North American group, we're going to meet together to kind of see where do we go from here. And as we met, I said, I still love the Dawn vision. I'm still committed to that, and that's what I want to do. And these guys said, no, that's not what we want to do. We don't. I think they were just burned out. And so I was sad at that point that they didn't want to continue on because they were my friends and we've been doing this. And I said, well, I'm sorry to hear that, but I think I'm supposed to go do this anyway. And that's where they said, that was the shocking part. We don't think you're supposed to.
John was devastated. These were people that he knew and loved and trusted, and they just very quickly turned on him, and sort of forbade him from starting something new. And so what did John do? He found his journal and he listened to Jesus.
December 6th, I think it is. I'm still getting over the Dawn retreat. I'm not as angry as I was, but I'm still disappointed with the outcome. I suppose the good news is that this frees me to launch a community of practice for church planters without them. Maybe it actually gives me a freer voice. The desire for a community of practice of simple church planters is something I've given you. I felt like the Lord was saying that. I know what a good fit Dawn has been for you. I will give you a better one. I know you can't see it right now, but trust me to do this. December 29th. I feel like the Lord said, the warfare is intense right now. You are in an important transition. The enemy is attacking on many fronts, seeking to discourage you, trying to get you to give up. What I have taught you is important. You have a vital role to play. I'm in the boat with you. January 6th. I told you there would be a new ministry for you. The pain of Gateway 9 years ago, that was the church that I got followed from, gave birth to all that you've been doing with House Church. Disorientation is always necessary for reorientation to occur. Disorientation is always painful and confusing. I will birth something new out of this. It will be even a better fit for your design. Walk with me one day at a time, and the new will emerge. January 17th, lean into the design I've given you. What the world needs is for you to be who you are. And that's true for everyone. Part of what that means is helping others, especially church planters, to be who they are. They need people to celebrate their calling and uniqueness. Many of them feel alone. Many wonder if they have what it takes. I want you to help them. And it was at that point that Kent brought a proposal, as Kent does, and they rejected his proposal. But he basically said, I believe in what you're doing, and I want to support you.
And when that organization came to a close, we felt like the things we'd been learning were important enough that we wanted to continue that work.
Hi, my name is John White, and wanted to let you know that I'm part of a community of church planters called Loop 10.
The nature of the revolution, as I understand it, to say this again, is not a change of venue. If you think of it as people are simply meeting in homes now instead of church buildings, I think you've missed what this is all about.
That's why Luke 10 was born in 2008. What does it mean to be a vibrant family of Jesus? How would such communities be led? What would life in the family of God and the Church of God look like that would actually be good news in our time?